Okay, devotees, let me just sort out a few more things before we start. Okay, once again, welcome to everyone. We are continuing our reading of the Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, chapter 2. We are about the middle, right around the middle of the chapter now. And today we are on verse 18. But before we go to the verse today, as usual, we'll just remind ourselves about what's happened so far in this chapter 2. So verses 1 to 7, Sutta Goswami, he began to reply the questions by the sages, and he glorified the sages and saying that the questions were wonderful. They will benefit not just the sages, but all humanity. Then verse 8 to 15, emphasizing bhakti. Bhakti is to be gained only by one prescribed work. So in detail, that was described. And then 16 to 22, which is the current section we are on. Very, very nice, very important session, this section. 16 to 22, it talks about the stages of bhakti. These are the stages that all of us should be aware of, and these are the stages that we will go through. So just to recap this particular short section, because it's so important, text 16 spoke about Shushrusha Sadhanashya verse. It spoke about when we serve, when we render service to devotees who are free from all vice, then that gives us the affinity to hear the messages of Krishna. Or in that particular verse, actually, it says Vasudeva, same thing. So that 16, if you think about the stages of bhakti, the 9 stages from Shraddha, Sadhu Sangha, Bhajana, Kriya, like that. So that particular 16 would cover Shraddha, Sadhu Sangha, and Bhajana Kriya. Because once you are rendering service, then you already, first of all, you must have faith. That's why you've gone to do service. And by serving, you're doing Sadhu Sangha, because you're associating with that devotee. And that particular service is actually Bhajan Kriya. So it covers the first 3 steps. And the next verse, which is Shunmatan Swakata Krishna Punyas Pramana Kirtana, that very beautiful verse, talks about how the Lord sitting within the heart cleanses the heart from the desire for sense gratification. So that happens when the person has developed a taste for hearing his katha. So that, again, it covers Bhajana Kriya as well as Anatha Nivriti, because this is when your heart begins to be cleansed. Then 18 continues that part of Anatha Nivriti, but also takes us to Nistha, which we will discuss today. And then 19 and 20 will take us through Asakti, Bhava, and Prema. So by these verses, we can actually completely understand where we need to be and where we need to go. So let's recite today's verse. But before I recite it, let's do the invocation mantra. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, second chapter, text 18. This is perhaps the most popular verse in the Bhagavatam, because at the beginning of every Bhagavatam class, we generally recite this particular verse. Nashta prayeshu abhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavat yuttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naistiki. By regular attendance and classes on the Bhagavatam, and by rendering of service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed. And loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. Naishtiki means firm, completely firm. So here Prabhupada translates that word Naishtiki as irrevocable. Irrevocable, that word, anybody who's in international business will know. When I was in business, now I'm retired, we dealt with letter of credits. So letter of credits would be 2 kinds. One would be like a normal one, and then would be irrevocable letter of credit. So that the person who's opened it cannot revoke it. He cannot withdraw it. So that way the supplier is sure of as long as he performs his part of supplying the goods and presenting the right documents to the bank, he will get paid. That's irrevocable. So here, Prabhupada using that word for Bhakti Bhavati Naishtiki. So this kind of bhakti becomes established firmly in the heart. So we've got the purport in 2 paragraphs. So I just invite anybody to unmute and read the first paragraph, please.
Can I read it, Prabhu?
Yes,
Prabhuji?
yes, please.
Here is the remedy for eliminating all inauspicious things within the heart, which are considered to be obstacles in the path of self-realization. The remedy is the association of the Bhagavatas. There are 2 types of Bhagavatas, namely the book Bhagavata and the devotee Bhagavata. Both the Bhagavatas are competent remedies, and both of them or either of them can be good enough to eliminate the obstacles. A devotee Bhagavata is as good as the book Bhagavata because the devotee Bhagavata leads his life in terms of the book Bhagavata, and the book Bhagavata is full of information about the personality of Godhead and his pure devotees who are also Bhagavatas. Bhagavata, book and person are identical. Shall I
Thank you.
carry on or someone
Thank you,
else
Shivra
will?
Mataji. Let's give a chance to somebody else. Thank you, Shivra
Okay.
Mataji. And
Hare
somebody else.
Krishna. Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna. Thank you. Somebody else can unmute and read this, please.
Hare
Yes,
Krishna.
Krishnagi Mataji, go ahead, please.
The devotee Bhagavat is a direct representative of Bhagwan, the personality of Godhead. So by pleasing the devotee Bhagavat, one can receive the benefit of the book Bhagavat. Human reason fails to understand how by serving the devotee Bhagavat or the book Bhagavat, one gets gradual promotion on the path of devotion. But actually, these are facts explained by Srila Narad Dev, who happened to be a maid servant's son in his previous life. The maid servant was engaged in the menial service of the sages, and thus he also came into contact with them. And simply by associating with them and accepting the remnants of foodstuffs left by the sages, the son of maid servant got the chance to become the great devotee and personality Sri Narad Dev. These are the miraculous effects of the association of the Bhagavatas. And to understand these effects practically, it should be noted that by such sincere association of the Bhagavatas, one is sure to receive transcendental knowledge very easily, with the result that he becomes fixed in the devotional service of the Lord. The more progress is made in devotional service under the guidance of the Bhagavatas, the more one becomes fixed in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. The message of the book Bhagavat, therefore, have to be received from the devotee Bhagavat. And the combination of these two Bhagavats will help the neophyte devotee to make progress and on and on. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. Krishnagi Mataji, Shri Prabhupada ki jai. Om Ajnanati Mirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Papitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Uttapadakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamsya Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Nitam Tam Sajivam Sadavaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakha Smitamascha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai. Before we dive into the purport, the slok says that almost completely. It doesn't say that our let me just go back to the sloka. So it says Nashta Prayashva. Prayashva means almost completely. And in one of the lectures, Prabhupada says almost 75%. So one would ask, no, why not completely? Because Prabhupada explains that we are in this process and this is a gradual process. So this is the beginning and this is a big chunk of it, but then as you go along, it'll get more and more cleansed till you get to the pure goodness. Because if at this stage all our anarthas were removed, we would not be in the material world, we would be actually the spiritual world. Or at least we would be in that consciousness, even if being in here. But this is a gradual process. That's why it says almost completely. So that was one point I wanted to make about this. And then, as usual, we'll dive into the purport. And Prabhupada says, here is a remedy for eliminating all inauspicious things within the heart, which are considered to be obstacles in the path of self-realization. So generally speaking, there are many obstacles that we have in our hearts, but they're categorized in 6 main categories. They're called 6 anarthas, or the enemies of the heart, or 6 inauspicious things within the heart, often it's said. So let's try and recall them. Anybody unmute and tell us what they are?
Envy.
Envy is one of them, yes.
Lust.
Yes, we got 2.
Ignorance.
Anger, yes.
Greed.
Greed, absolutely.
Jealousy.
Envy, that's right. Envy, correct. Pramila Mataji.
False.
One more. Illusion. So in the sequence that I remember them is lust, which means in Sanskrit is karma. Anger, which is the Sanskrit. What's the Sanskrit for anger? Krodha, exactly. And then greed.
Lobe.
Yes, lobha, exactly. And then illusion.
Maya.
Maya, or it can be mud. It sometimes is. So
Maha.
Krodh, lobh, mud. And then pride.
No, not Matsarya. Matsarya is Ahankar.
Pride is, sorry, I got moha. Sorry, not mud, moha. Illusion was moha. I think somebody did say moha, right?
Yeah.
Yes, sorry, moha. This is mud. Pride is mud. I got muddled up there. Pride is mud. Actually, funny thing is, this word murder in Sanskrit is also used for madness. So you can imagine MAD, mad in English, is mud in Sanskrit. So I guess some similarities there. And then envy, of course, is no. Somebody mentioned it just now.
Jealousy.
But in Sanskrit. Matsarya. Somebody mentioned Matsarya. Yes. So these are the categories of the anarthas that we need to get rid of. And when we think about it deeply, we can relate to each one of them. Or maybe somebody like me relate to all of them very strongly. So until we get these out of our hearts almost completely, we're not going to be able to make progress. So we need to always consciously be thinking about this. As I'm making progress, this is one of the yardsticks. As we make progress in spiritual life, we must be able to realize some of these things reducing as time goes. And as I said before, it's a process. It's not something that we will wake up one morning and know, oh God, all these things are gone. No, it doesn't work like that. Sometimes it'll take years. Sometimes, well, somebody who's really pure and who's done a lot of bhakti before in the previous lives, it can happen very quickly. But for most of us, it'll take a little while. For somebody like me, maybe it'll take a few lifetimes. But we must be measuring it all the time. So this, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu by Rupa Goswami. So Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, his commentary on this, very nicely, he's titled it, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu Bindu. So what does Sindhu mean?
Ocean.
Ocean. No, ocean actually, it means ocean. Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. So Rupa Goswami gave us the ocean of Bhakti Rasa. Amrit. Bhakti Rasa Amrit, ocean of it. But then Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, who himself was an amazing scholar, but just because of his humility, he calls his commentary on it, he calls it Sindhu Bindu. Bindu means
Drop.
Drop, you see? So he's just saying, yes, I have just given you a little drop of what Rupa Goswami has given us. So it shows you the humility of our acharyas. So in that commentary, he's categorized these anarthas into 4. Yeah? And this is Swarupa Brahma. So this Brahma doesn't mean Brahma, is Brahma in terms of confusion. You know, we sometimes we use that also in Hindi. Hindi, we say, I was in Brahma, which means I was confused about it, something like that, right? So that means illusion about spiritual identity. So that particularly means that we are illusioned about our spiritual identity. So most of us, until we come in contact with devotees and Prabhupada's books, we have no idea about the spiritual identity. We are still fully in our material identity, and we live life like that. So that is where the roots of these Kam, Krodh, Lobh, Moh, Mad, Matsarya are. Other category is Asat, Trishna. So can somebody, maybe these are words, Asat we know, and Trishna also we know. So
Krishna is hankering.
Hankering or thirst, yes.
Asat is which is not true.
Exactly. Paragamata, you got it. Hit it on the head. Thirst for that which is unreal. So again, think about our material life. We are hankering and running after things which are asat. We want to try and build our bank balance. We want to try and build our business. We want to try and have properties and even relationships and all that, right? These are all asat because they are all temporary. At one point, they will disappear. Either somebody will take them away if they're possessions, or when we die, we will have to leave them. So from that point of view, that ultimately asat. So that is, again, that's where roots of these come. This is the roots of our 6 anarthas. And aparadha. This is very common. Aparadha means
Committing mistake.
Offenses,
exactly, offenses. So again, by committing offenses, actually offenses against anybody and all living entities, but particularly offenses against devotees, then we get all these things. You know, we get the anarthas. And the last category, he says, Hridaya Durbalya. So again, Hridaya we know.
Weak heart.
Exactly. Weakness of heart. Because our heart is not strong, our heart is not established in devotional service. So we are weak. We're weak in our sadhana, and our heart in that sense is weak. So we are able to be distracted by many different things. So we're not able to be firm. So interesting how he divides them into these 4 categories. Prabhupada then continues, the remedy is the association of Bhagavatas. There are 2 types of Bhagavatas, namely the book Bhagavata and the devotee Bhagavata. Both the Bhagavatas are competent remedies, and both of them, or either of them, can be good enough to eliminate the obstacles. Prabhupada saying both or either. So Bhagavata, the book, by reading the book sincerely and scrutinizingly, we can get rid of the anarthas, or by associating with Bhagavatas. Bhagavatas means pure devotees. We can also get the same result. And he's saying both or either. So we got that license. And then in the Chaitanya Charitamrita in the 11th, Madhya 11, chapter 31, this is a discussion between Lord Shiva and Parvati. So Parvati is asking Lord Shiva, who is the most worshipable personality? So here, Lord Shiva is saying, Aradhana nam sarvesham, Vishnur Aradhanam param, Tasmat parataram devi, Tariya nam samarchanam. So translation goes, Lord Shiva is saying to Goddess Durga, my dear Devi, although the Vedas recommend worship of demigods, the worship of Lord Vishnu, although the Vedas recommend worship of demigods, the worship of Lord Vishnu is the topmost. However, above the worship of the Lord Vishnu is the rendering of service to Vaishnavas who are related to Lord Vishnu. So you see, clarifying it here. So many times we hear Prabhupada say that don't try to approach Krishna directly. We can't approach. We haven't got the adhikar to go and approach Krishna directly. We must go through devotees, pure devotees, and that way we can connect to Krishna. And in the purport, Prabhupada says, the Vedas are divided into three divisions: Karma Kanda, Jnana Kanda, and Upasana Kanda. These are activities dealing with the fruitive work, empirical philosophical speculation, and worship. These are recommendations in the Vedas for the worship. There are recommendations in the Vedas for the worship of various demigods as well as Lord Vishnu. In this quotation from Padma Purana, Lord Shiva answers a question posed to him by Goddess Durga. The words Vishnu Aradhanam refer to the worship of Lord Vishnu or Krishna. Thus, the supreme form of worship is the satisfaction of Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna. It is further concluded that the worshipper of the Lord Vishnu renders better service by worshipping the devotee of Lord Krishna. It's very, very clear. Many times we hear about people who say, "Oh, I don't need a guru. I can read the books. I have a connection directly with Krishna." But that's very rare. I'm not saying it's impossible, but it's very, very rare. So we must always go through our spiritual masters and senior advanced devotees to approach Krishna. Prabhupada continues, the devotee Bhagavat is a direct representative of Bhagavan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. By pleasing the devotee Bhagavata, one can receive the benefit of the book Bhagavata. So in the Nectar of Devotion, chapter 12, Prabhupada writes in the purport, in the Adi Purana, there is the following statement by Krishna himself, addressed to Arjuna. My dear Partha, one who claims to be my devotee is not so. Only a person who claims to be the devotee of my devotee is actually my devotee. No one can, Prabhupada then says, no one can approach the Supreme Personality of Godhead directly. One must approach him through his pure devotees. Therefore, the system of Vaishnava activities, therefore, in the system of Vaishnava activities, the first duty is to accept the devotee as spiritual master and then to render service unto him. So, and Prabhupada says in the purport, he's also saying, simply by associating with devotees, by associating and they're taking the remnants of the food, Narad Muni became a great personality. That he gives the example of Narad Muni. So we all know the story of Narad Muni. So we quickly just recap that story. This was in his previous life, and it's covered in the 6th chapter of the 1st canto. We'll come to that soon. So he was a poor son. He was the son of a poor maidservant, as we know, in his previous life. So from that point of view, he had no qualifications. But what happened was that during the Chaturmasya, these sadhus, the Bhakti Vedantas, because during the rainy season, wherever they are, they will stop and they would just camp for the weather to get better, because it's very difficult and also dangerous to be traveling during the rainy season. So when they were there, nearby was the hut of Narad Muni. I don't actually know what his name was in that time, though I don't think it's described anyway. But he was there living with his mother, and his mother began to serve the sadhus, feeding them, cleaning the place, and whatever they needed. So, and Narad Muni also started to help. So, but whilst doing that, while he would sit down and whilst he was cleaning the place, the sadhus would, of course, sadhus have only one business, Krishna Katha. So they were discussing Krishna Katha all day long, and Narad Muni was listening to this, his child, very young child, and he was listening to this. So And also he, of course, whatever plates, when he was cleaning the plates, whatever food was left in the plate, he was honoring it. I'm not sure whether he actually knew the significance of it, but he was eating it, whatever was left over. But that was such a potent, you see, prasad, especially of the Mahabhagavata, is so, so important. So it is said that, when we have prasad, which has been offered, for example, in the normal big kitchen, and then we have prasad served to all the congregation, that's called prasad. But what is served on the altar, as we know, is called Mahaprasada. But it is said that then if you have the remnants of a pure devotee of the Lord, like a spiritual master remnants, that is Maha Prasada. So that is the significance of having food which has been, which remnants of food which has been touched by a pure devotee. So because of the association, he became a staunch devotee himself. So the story is that, cutting the long story short, his mother passes away by a snake bite. But even at that young age, because he had this knowledge now, he did not get bewildered. And he just thought, okay, this is Krishna's mercy to me, so I can leave. Because when the sadhus were leaving at the end of the Chaturmasya, he wanted to go with them. But the sadhu said, no, you stay here because your mother is here, you need to be with her, like that. Now the mother was gone, he took a chance, he went. And he actually, very quickly, by some tapasya, got a darshan of the Lord, briefly, so be it. And then in the following life, he became Narada, such an exalted devotee. He could travel all over the universe, not just universe, but all over other universes as well. So this is the story about Narada. So the importance of association, which is emphasized in this verse, was also emphasized by Lord Kapiladev when he was teaching his mother Devahuti. So this verse I have recited many times before, one of my favorite verses. Satam prasangan mama virya samvido bhavanti hrit karna rasayana katha tajoshanad asvapavargos vartmani shraddha ratir bhakti anushkamishvati. In the association of pure devotees, discussion of the pastimes and activities of the supreme personality of Godhead is very pleasing and satisfying to the ear and the heart. By cultivating such knowledge, one gradually becomes advanced in the path of liberation, and thereafter he is freed, and his attraction becomes fixed. Then real devotion and devotional service begins. So you see, the real devotional service, right now we are all practicing. We are practicing devotional service. But when we get to this stage, when we have heard and in association with devotees, our heart is cleansed and we are freed. Freed means we're liberated. Jivan Mukta. We may be even in this world, not gone back to the spiritual world, but we are Jivan Mukta. Then the real devotion and devotion service begin. Similarly, Lord Kapila says to Devahuti. So that was Kapila Devahuti. Now we will take an example of Dhruva Maharaj in the 4th canto, chapters 8 to 12. Beautiful story of Dhruva Maharaj. We all know the story, but again, we will take it briefly. Here in the first image, we can see, was it Suruchi? Yes, Suruchi, his stepmother, is ordering little Dhruva Maharaj, 5 years old, ordering him to jump off the lap of his father, saying that you have no right to sit on his lap unless you take birth from my womb. But because Suruchi was, I'm not sure which one is which actually. I always get confused. Suruchi and Suruchi. Who is the stepmother? Who is the mother? Anybody know?
Suruchi is stepmother.
Okay, yeah, thank you. Okay, yes. So Suruchi is stepmother. So Suruchi then Prahlad Maharaj goes to his mother crying. Mother says, "What happened?" Says, "Oh, look, this is what's happened." And then he's a Kshatriya, so he's in so much anger. He says, "I want to take revenge." He says, "I want a kingdom which is bigger than not just my father, but bigger than my grandfather." And he's crying. So his mother says, if you want something, I've heard that people who need something, we can't just get it just by our own effort. We need to worship the Lord. So he says, okay, where can I find the Lord? And Suniti says, I hear that the Lord, the sadhus, they stay in the forest, and that's where they get the darshan of the Lord. So he leaves immediately. 5-year-old Dhruva leaves home, and on the way, who does he meet? Here's a question of association. He meets Narada.
Narada.
Exactly. Narada is now trying to dissuade him, saying, "You're too young. Go back. The forest is very dangerous. Don't do this. Just go back, and when you're a little bit older, you can do this." But he was so determined that he said, "Look, guide me if you can. If you can't guide me, then please get out of my way. I'm not going to go back." And then, of course, Narada Muni, realizing his determination, gives him the instructions. He gives him the mantra. Which mantra does he give him?
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Bhagavate Vasudevaya. He said, chant this mantra continuously with deep meditation, and maybe the Lord will be pleased with you. So he performed severe austerities, as we know, eating fruits and roots for the first 3 months, or 3 months, I think. Yeah. Anyway, soon after doing severe austerities, he gets the association of the Lord. Very briefly, this is the austerities he's doing, standing on one leg, for continuously, and chanting Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, hardly eating, in the end, hardly even breathing. Finally, the Lord actually gives him darshan and gives him what he wished. Although by this time, he didn't want it. He said, my Lord, I was after some broken pieces of glass, but now I've got the diamond, so I don't want anything else. I just want your association and your devotional service. The Lord says, because you have desired that, you will get it. So you will get the kingdom. So he got the planet of Dhruva, and he ruled there for 36,000 years or 34,000 years. And ultimately he got salvation. Then we have Lord Rishabhadev instructing his sons. Again, beautiful verse about association. This Mahat Sevam Dwaram Ahur Vimuktesh Tamo Dwaram Yoshitam Sangi Sangam Mahantaste Samachitta Prashanta Vimanyava Shurida Sadhavoye. One can attain the path of liberation from material bondage only by rendering service to the highly advanced spiritual personalities. These personalities are impersonalists and devotees. Whether one wants to merge into the Lord's existence or wants to associate with the personality of Godhead, one should render service to the Mahatmas. For those who are not interested in such activities, who associate with people fond of women and sex, the path to hell is wide open. The Mahatmas are equipoised. They do not see any difference between one living entity and another. They are very peaceful and are fully engaged in devotional service. They are devoid of anger, and they work for the benefit of everyone. They do not behave in any abominable way. Such people are known as Mahatmas. So we need to associate with Mahatmas to make, again, I'm re-emphasizing this point. In Chaitanya Charitamrita, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also, I think, whilst instructing Sanatana Goswami, he's saying, Asatta Sangatyaga A Vaishnava Achar. Asatta Sangatyaga. So giving up the association of asat, of non-devotees, that is Vaishnava Achar. So lastly, we'll try and cover effects of lack of association or unfavorable association. So when we don't have association or we associate with unfavorable things, this is what happens. And we'll take the story of Bharat Maharaj here, and it'll come in the 5th canto of the Bhagavatam. Bharat Maharaj was an exalted devotee of the Lord, so much so that at a very young age, at 24, 25 years old, he was a king, he was the emperor of the whole world. But he gave up his entire kingdom and retired to the forest to meditate upon the Lord and to perfect his life. What happens? He happens to save a deer who was driven. Actually, a deer was pulled by the current in the river that he was standing by, and the deer happened to be pregnant. So whilst the deer died, but the little fawn, the little baby deer, was saved by him, and then he thought it was his responsibility. It was his duty to look after this little animal who was an orphan by now, which is fine. So far, so good, because you can't be cruel and just leave that fawn, the little baby deer, to his own according to he wouldn't survive. The wild animals would eat them. So he was looking after him. But the point is, unfortunately, that attachment got very strong. So much so that he would be doing his sadhana. You can see he's doing some kind of havan here, but his mind is on the deer. So his mind got distracted from the sadhana, some pure sadhana he was doing. Just by the wrong kind of association, he got this way distracted. And then what happens at the end of life, you can see he's about to leave his body. But what's in his mind? He's got that deer, baby deer in his mind. So two things, lack of association, because if he was associated, if he had other devotees around him at this time, then somebody would remind him. This is the beauty of devotees. You see, our devotees, and a good devotee friend is better than a karmi friend. A karmi friend will not always tell you the truth. He will generally flatter us. We know how it is, right? They may talk behind our back about something that we're doing wrong, but very rarely they'll tell us on the face. A very good friend would do that. And a devotee is a very good friend like that. So if Bharat Maharaj had devotee association, good devotees would have told him, come on, Bharat Maharaj, this is enough with the deer now. Let's get on with sadhana, right? So this is what it does. So as practitioners, if we remain in the association of devotees, we will get this benefit of being corrected by our fellow devotees. And this we should take as a blessing. Many times when somebody corrects us, we tend to take offense. Who are you to correct me? You know who I am? I am senior. I am head of this. I am this. I am this. But no, whoever, doesn't matter whether junior or senior, when somebody corrects us, we should take it as the mercy of the Lord. It's the Lord instructing us through that devotee. Many years ago, actually, when I first started to chant, somehow my mind, I thought I need to do my rounds as fast as possible. And I used to chant very, very fast. And one time I was chanting in Srila Prabhupada's room at the manor. And as I was chanting, I kept on chanting. When I finished, I walked out. A devotee in the white body, a young devotee in the white body, he followed me. And he says, Prabhu, do you mind if I speak to you? And I said, yes, no problem. He said, Prabhu, I was listening to you chanting and you are not pronouncing the last Hare. Last two Hares, you are missing out. And to be honest, that was early days of my devotion service. I just started chanting. I'll be very honest with you. To my mind, I thought, who are you to tell me? You are, first of all, you are in a white body. I'm Indian. I know mantras. I know how to chant. That was my first reaction. But fortunately, immediately I thought, okay, I must think about this. He's saying something that he has heard. And if I'm doing it wrong, I must try and correct myself. And then I slow down a little bit. And I thank him now. Even now, if I meet him, I thank him for correcting me like this. Because what Krishna instructed me through him. So like this, so we must have the humility to take the instructions or corrections properly from devotees. So one thing, so if he had association, he would be corrected and he would not fall down as he did. And also the other thing was, what was the second thing in my mind? And bad association, which means unnecessary association of the deer. So lack of association, unnecessary. It was like the worst of worst situation, right? If somebody would have just one, not the other, but he had both, and this is why he got dragged down. He got born as a deer in his next life, and then the story goes on. Everybody knows the story. So devotees, I will stop here. It's quite late, so I will stop, and we invite any comments, questions, corrections, please. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mukunda-Hari, Prabhu. Please accept my humble obeisances, our Guru. Whenever I listen to your class, I feel so enlightened. It's really nice how you started with the key words, helping us to understand all the key words. Then you went to the philosophy of what Srila Prabhupada has said, and now then you connected to the Srimad Bhagavatam stories to help us to understand deep to the subjects. It was really wonderful, the lecture you have given us. It's really, I feel so blessed. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for your encouragement, Malika Mataji. I'm not, there's nothing, none of this is my knowledge, as everybody knows.
I know, but you put it
Mm-hmm.
together. That's what, that's what made it so wonderful. You thought about it so much, how to present this lecture to us, and you help us to understand further about this verse. I'm really grateful. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I was also, as I mentioned that, all the earlier devotees, in the morning I make the time to listen to them about Srila Prabhupada. And one of the devotees is saying that, I was 24 hours with Srila Prabhupada, and Srila Prabhupada is Bhagavatam himself, because I know it's in Bhagavatam says that what's the quality of a pure devotee. And I thought how long it will take me to read this in Bhagavatam and understand. But when I saw Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada was Bhagavatam. He was completely, you see his life, you associate with him, you're associating with Bhagavatam. So it was so wonderful to hear it. And thank you so much.
Thank you. And Malika Mataji, we are so fortunate that we are living in an era where Prabhupada was around. Although most of us maybe haven't met him, maybe some of you have. I think I remember, who was it who was saying to me that they met Prabhupada. So some of you may have met him, but for somebody like me, I was in this country, but I was not fortunate enough to meet him at that time. But you can see, at least we're in this era where we can hear his lectures, and I always thank so much, so deeply from my heart. I thank the devotees who had the foresight to record his lectures. And we can hear all of his lectures, his morning walks, his room conversations. We are so fortunate to have that association. Well, we don't have the Vapu, but we have the Vani of Prabhupada. We are so fortunate.
Also, so many devotees also, they also express that how Srila Prabhupada connected with each soul. He said, he saw me in my heart, who I am, who I was in my previous life. They also felt Srila Prabhupada's presence in their heart. So it was so much wonderful realization they had, and they're now expressing in their lecture, and it's so wonderful. That's why I make a special time to listen to them, to get who Srila Prabhupada was really.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Malika Mataji. I've got a few questions here. So I've got this one from Sumadura. Thank you very much for the class. But what should one do if we are not fortunate enough to get the opportunity to serve advanced devotees or Mahatmas? Does it mean we cannot progress our life? So yes, thank you so much for a nice question. Yes. So we are all in the same position really, because very rarely we get a chance to serve the very advanced devotees. But the point being that we should serve whoever is senior to us. So this way we're connecting. So basically that's the connection. So whoever is senior to us, whatever the temple authorities tell us to do, whatever service we get, we're serving. So by serving, for example, if we go and do the kitchen service, right, at the manor. So today, for example, you will be under Krishna Purnamataji, who is the head of that team, for example. So by helping Krishna Purnamataji, you're helping the temple. By helping the temple, you're helping Prabhupada, because Prabhupada's wish was for this mission to expand. So in that way, we are actually serving the pure devotee. So we should have that mentality in our mind that, look, I'm doing this for Krishna, ultimately, through the devotees. And that way, although we may think that we don't have the association of the pure devotees, but our service is ultimately there for their wishes. Prabhupada wished this, and we're doing it. So like this, we are indirectly serving. But once in a while, you may get a chance to serve a traveling sadhu, to maybe, I have had opportunities to pick senior devotees, sannyasis up from the airport and bring them to the manor, or drive them from one place to the other, or sometimes on that cruise we had in 2013, I was personally serving Chandramuli Maharaj, so I had a chance to actually be with him every day and bring him his prasadam, whatever he needed, like that. Yeah. So those chances also we will get as we get more advanced and as we get more. But we will get these chances if we do make time to associate. That's the main point. If we associate with devotees all the time, eventually we'll get a chance to also serve advanced devotees. So thank you so
Thank you
much.
very much, Hare Krishna. Thank you so much for this informative answer. Thanks so much, Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Hema Mataji is sharing a thought, very
Hare
thoughtful.
Krishna.
I really found connection versus. Yeah, thank you so much for your appreciation and encouragement, Hema Mataji, as always. Hema Mataji, I've been recently thinking you should be giving classes too, because you have all this knowledge and more. So
No, Prabhuji, I don't have any knowledge. I just look forward to your classes, Prabhuji. And I just wanted to share that I think few classes before somebody shared that we have so many wonderful Bhagavatas at the temple. I mean, people like Prajina, Prabhu, and
yes.
you speak to them for a split of a second and you think, wow, I'm going away with so much. So I suppose we don't have to wait for pure devotees. We can be looking for all these wonderful devotees that are at the temple and serve them.
That's a good reminder, because also personally I didn't get much association or chance to serve, but I know many Matajis, many ladies got the chance. My Padmamalini, my wife, also got a chance to be with Mother Kalangna and serve her. That was Mother Kalangna was a Mahabhagavata, very pure devotee. So like this, there are many opportunities that we will get for sure. So
Prabhuji, I wanted to ask about hearing. It's lingering on from yesterday that when you're hearing, we need to can we just hear, or we need total faith and no doubt at all when we're hearing? I was thinking of Parvati Mata, where she fell asleep and she went in listening to Ram Katha with doubts in her head, and she got totally bewildered and to the level that she wanted to go and test Sri Ram herself. So I was just saying, how much important is faith and doubt-free hearing?
Yes, I think it's faith is very important. And what Prabhupada often said was that at least accept the fact, even though you may not completely understand it yet, right? For example, early devotees, Western devotees, they couldn't actually fathom this concept of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So Prabhupada says, at least theoretically accept it now. Then things will fall in place. So we need to be in that mood. So when we are listening, especially listening to classes at the manner or classes from senior devotees, we must first of all say, okay, first of all, let me first of all understand that this person comes from a place where he knows he is learned from the parampara. So let me listen to him with a clear mind. And it's not also wrong to have doubts. That's another point we must remember. Prabhupada always encouraged the devotees to ask questions. So you have questions, we must clear the doubts. We cannot just say, okay, I'll accept blindly whatever is saying to me, even I don't fully understand it. No, we must, if he's saying something which doesn't make too much sense to us, we must ask him. In ISKCON, actually, we have many times when somebody says something, the devotee would say, Prabhu, where are you quoting this from? Because somebody is just bringing something from his mental concoction, that is not allowed. Whatever we say, that's why whenever I'm giving class, I rely very much on the verses, because what knowledge do I have? I'm a very junior devotee, but my strength is the fact that this is what Shastra is saying, this is what Rishabhadeva is saying, this is what Kapila Dev is saying, and this is what Prabhupada said. So if we do it that way, then you can't go wrong.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Very clear. Thank you so much.
iPhone says, how does one eat Mahaprasad in practice? Is it eating the leftovers? Yes, exactly. Eating. So what happens is whenever, like my Guru Maharaj, for example, whenever he would eat, so a senior devotee who was serving him, whatever, he'll take that take that plate away to the kitchen. And then from that plate, he will then make smaller portions and then share it out to all the people who are around there. So that way you get to have the Mahaprasad. Yes, so literally he's taking whatever was left from his plate. So that's good. And let's see.
Prabhuji, can I?
Yes, Shailesh. Yes.
Can I expand on a beautiful point here? I think we talked about it a couple of days ago, and Hema Mataji's just picked up that point as well. I mean, it's not necessary that management equals senior devotees. Senior devotees are those who are serving the Lord selflessly with a pure heart, and it's seeking those devotees out is actually more beneficial than necessarily just rank.
Quite true.
And also another very beautiful point that you've made with respect to listening. I think Hema Mataji asked about attention. I think the attitude with which we listen to, whether there's doubts or not, doubts is always, it's a human nature to have, because our purity is so low. Anarthas are always in our minds, in our hearts, and our thoughts, and mind leads us away. But if we surrender to the process and ask Krishna, as Krishna says, depending on how we approach him, he reciprocates. So if we approach him with that heart and saying, I want to understand Krishna, please reveal yourself to me, then 100% the answer will come. Every time I have a doubt and I just open the Gita up, the answer somehow or another miraculously comes in whatever text I end up opening, the answer is there. So Krishna reciprocates 100%, but our consciousness has to be there, that we're prepared to surrender to him, and then he will reciprocate. So I think the hearing and with doubt is okay, but as long as we surrender, I think you'll find that the answers are always there.
Thank
Sorry,
you.
just wanted to add on a very beautiful point you and Hema Mataji made.
No, thank you, Shailesh Prabhu. That's very, very good. Excellently, you concluded that point very nicely. I got hand up from Arjun. Arjun, please. Arjun, Bhakta Arjun. Arjun is only 10 years old, I think. Arjun?
I'm 11.
11 now, okay.
Yeah, sorry. My question was that why did you mention Kapil Dev?
Kapil Dev, so Lord Kapila, he is an incarnation of the Lord, of Lord Krishna.
Oh, cause I heard Kapil Dev for some reason, because like when you were saying, I like lagged a lot because like my computer is like, then like I heard Kapil Dev for some reason.
Oh, so did you think I was thinking about Kapil Dev, the cricketer?
Yeah, sorry.
No, Kapil Dev is the incarnation of the Lord. Thank you for asking though, Arjun. Nice to see you on this session. Arjun is a regular member of our Sangha on Wednesdays. So welcome, Arjun.
Thank you.
There's a few more other points. Let me just see if there's any more. There's lots of points here. I'm not sure we'll have time. So first of all, I think Santosh Mataji says that she actually had the good fortune to meet Prabhupada. So very, very fortunate. We touch your lotus feet, Santosh Mataji, because those people who met Prabhupada directly are very rare at the moment. Very few of them now left, considering overall picture. I think Shailesh Prabhu also mentioned to me that he also has met Prabhupada when he was very young. So amazing. I'm not fortunate enough to, okay, so Sumadura Mataji is saying, I'm not fortunate enough to be the manna. We are 200 miles away from the manna. Yes, so that's a good point. When you are far away, then your association can be through the media. You can listen to the classes online. Daily, there are classes in the morning from the manna. There you can get association of devotees virtually, if not face to face. So that also is association in the modern days. So that I would recommend that you log in every day at about 7:30, 7:45, and listen to some amazing Bhagavatam classes from wonderful devotees. That is association. But whenever you come to the manna, you get a chance to serve. That'd be great. Thank you. So many messages.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes. Seema Mataji, yes.
Then, Prabhuji, I want to ask you a question. As you were giving the example of Dhruv Maharaj, that when he did tapasya, God appeared in front of him, and then Dhruv Maharaj said that now my desire to have a kingdom is vanished, and now I want to be in your, I want to be your devotee only, but God said no, because you desired the kingdom, so I give you that. So my question is that, like us people, like who are grasta, we have desired so many things in the past, but now as we have become like trying to become a devotee and trying to learn how to become a devotee, but our past desires, do they still like come into the way of our devotion, or they just vanish? What happens?
So yeah, nice question, very nice question, and it's very, very individual, Sima Mataji. The desires are there. So a soul cannot be without desires. Prabhupada often say that the nature of the soul is a desire. So you cannot be desireless. And this is the impersonalist philosophy, that you must completely kill all your desires. So we can't kill desires. So desires will always be there. But what the Vaishnava philosophy teaches us, that we need to fine tune our desires. We need to divert our desires from the material to the spiritual. So those desires don't, if you try and subdue them, then they will keep coming back. There's no chance that you can keep them down. But if I have a desire, for example, let me just give you a mundane example. I love chocolate. So if I have a desire to eat chocolate, then I will modify that desire and say, okay, let me transfer the desire to have Mangala sweets. So I can go and get Mangala sweets from the manor. And those are so delicious and so tasty that then I don't need to eat chocolate so much. Like that, So like that, you can do, if you, for example, songs, if you like to hear songs, just listen to some of these bhajans and kirtans from our previous acharyas that fulfill all that, the musical desire that we have. Stuff like this. So you can divert our desires from the mundane to the spiritual. In that way, we have a better chance of controlling them. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. It's 9 o'clock almost, but there's Sakshi, I'm not sure, sorry, Mataji or Prabhu is saying, the last thought Bharat Maharaj before leaving his body, the deer in his mind. What would be the importance, meaning in Krishna consciousness? Pure devotee would like to have Lord Krishna or Lord Vishnu. Okay, right. So basically, in one sense, Lord Vishnu, Lord Krishna, Prabhupada says, often you will see in his translations, he will use these two words interchangeably. Krishna, Vishnu, for us is the same. But the devotees, the Vaishnavas, are supposed to be worshippers of Vishnu. But our particular Gaudiya Vaishnava path, we are worshippers of Radha and Krishna. Not just Krishna alone, Radha and Krishna together. So our destination is Radha and Krishna. So we wish to have Radha and Krishna in our thoughts at the end of life, rather than Vishnu, because it's the same thing. They're both the supreme lords. There's no doubt about that. But the destination is slightly different. If you're thinking of Vishnu, you will achieve the Vaikuntha planets, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But if you want to serve Krishna, you want to play with Krishna, you want to dance with Krishna, then that will not be available at the Vaikuntha planets, because Vaikuntha planets is all relationships and all reverence. So only in Krishna Loka, only in Golok Vrindavan, you get a chance to associate directly with Krishna in an intimate way. So this is why we would ideally like to be thinking about Lord Radha and Krishna at the end of our life. I hope that answered the question.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Once again, thank you.
So good. Devotees, this is past 9 o'clock, so we should definitely stop now. Santosh Mataji, you have something happening on Monday. Do you want to mention that? Or
Yes, Prabhuji, if anybody would like to contact me
yes.
for to meet at Govinda's restaurant on Monday, it would be very nice at 12 o'clock.
That's it. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, everybody. Sorry if I didn't answer some of the questions on the chat because time is running out. Devotees, please look after yourselves. Pancha kalpataru Vishnu kripa sindhu bhagavate Paritanam
Vaishnavebhyo namo namo. Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Wonderful session. Thank you.